Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Payspace Payroll Showcase. This is the first in a series which we call Snacksize Features Lunchtime Learning. Today's session will be focused on online Payspace Payroll versus desktop payroll comparison. Your presenters for today will be Thomas Piermain and Jeanne McKenzie, both from Preferred Solutions, Eastern Cape. My name is Leon Stein. I'm from the Preferred Solutions Group, and I will be facilitating this session in between. Please note that questions are welcome during the session. You can ask as you go along. You can type it either in the chat or in the Q&A button, which you will find on the menu bar. Please just click it there. We will respond in live time, or if it is a case-specific question, we will follow up after the meeting. I am going to give over to Thomas to run through what you are going to learn today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leon. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Whether you're new to payroll or you've been running it for years, today we will distinguish between desktop and cloud payroll and know exactly which advantages each option brings to your business. After that, Zane will go through a snippet of the payroll cycle within Deal Local Payroll, mostly known as Payspace. We will showcase how to generate mock payslips for prospective employees, giving you a practical hands-on feel before you ever process a live payslip. Onboard new employees with ease, and just as importantly, close off employee records correctly when someone leaves your organization. Create payroll funds and process payslips accurately so your team is paid correctly every single time. Reconcile payroll transactions with confidence, ensuring your figures balance and your records stay audit ready. Upload and process salary payments smoothly, taking the stress out of payday. Retrieve statutory submissions reports whenever you need them, keeping you compliant and prepared. And finally, complete and close a full payroll run, taking you from the very first step to a full finalized, closed-off payroll period. That's a lot to cover, but don't worry, we'll walk through each of these together, step by step, so that by the time we close today, you won't just have watched payroll being done, you'll know how to do it yourself. So let's get started. Thank you again for being here. Let's make payroll simple together. Let's talk about one of the biggest decisions you'll make when it comes to payroll. Should you run it on desktop or move it to the cloud? There's no single right answer here. It really comes down to how your business operates and what your IT setup looks like. So let's walk through it point by point, and I'll flag where each approach has a genuine edge. Let's start with the basics. Where does the system actually live, and how do you get to it? Desktop payroll is installed locally on a PC or on your own company server. By default, that means your users are working from specific devices in specific locations. Cloud payroll flips that around completely. It's accessed through the web browser, so your team can log in from anywhere there's an internet connection, the office, home, or even while they're traveling. If flexibility for a distributed team is a priority for you, that's point one in cloud's favor. Next, keeping the system current. The desktop payroll software updates are something you have to manage yourselves. Download them, test them, install them, roll them out across every machine. With Cloud Payroll, that responsibility shifts to the provider. Updates, including legislative changes, are deployed automatically in the background, so you're always compliant and up to date without lifting a finger. Now, let's talk about backups, infrastructure, and disaster recovery. This is where the two approaches really diverge. On desktop, your company is responsible for its own backups and data storage, which usually means additional servers, hardware, and ongoing maintenance. It also means your disaster recovery plan depends entirely on your internal backup procedure, so it's only as good as your last backup. Cloud Payroll takes a lot of that weight off your shoulders. There's no server infrastructure for you to maintain, and backups are handled for you automatically on a weekly basis across all entities. It's worth understanding what that means in practice, though. The system works on two environments, a live environment and a staging environment. Every Sunday, the live environment is backed up onto the staging environment. So if a mistake happens on your end, the most recent restore point available is that previous Sunday's backup. Anything changed since then won't reflect on the backup until the following Sunday. It's a strong safety net, just one worth understanding the timing of, rather than assuming everything is instantly recoverable. That said, this is exactly where Cloud Payroll's other advantages comes in. Interim runs. Interim runs lets you go in and correct a specific pay run directly without needing to rely on a full system restore at all. So in most cases, you're fixing the issue and the source at the source rather than falling back on a backup. And beyond backups, there's another advantage worth mentioning with cloud systems. You have instant access to all your history. There is no need to keep a separate copy system at year end. Your data stays live and accessible whenever you need it. What about working as a team? Desktop systems can absolutely support multiple users, but it may take some network configuration to get everyone connected properly, especially if people are working across different sites. Cloud Payroll is built for simultaneous access online, your whole payroll team, and even managers and employees through self-service portals. They can all be in the system at the same time, with no extra setup required. It's a similar story with integrations. Desktop often needs additional setup and maintenance to connect with other systems like HR or accounting software, while Cloud Payroll typically comes with built-in integrations and APIs ready to go, making it easier to collaborate across departments. And finally, two very practical questions: cost and connectivity. Desktop payroll usually involves annual license fees and upgrade costs, usually within a bracket of employees that are active on the system. This can be genuinely cost effective if you already have the server infrastructure in place, or if your organization has a strict internal IT policy that favors keeping things in-house. Cloud Payroll typically runs on a monthly subscription model, so the cost is based on the amount of people you have paid in that month, and it scales easily with your business. Then there's the internet question, and this one matters more than people expect. Desktop Payroll keeps working even without an internet connection, which is a real advantage if you're in an area with unreliable connectivity. Cloud Payroll, by contrast, needs a stable internet connection to function and gives you more flexibility. So, which one's right for you? Honestly, it depends on your business. If you want complete control, you're comfortable managing your own infrastructure, and you already have servers and IT policies in place, desktop payroll remains a solid, dependable choice. But if you want to reduce your IT overhead, give your team the freedom to work from anywhere, scale easily as you grow, and always be on the latest version without thinking about it, cloud is very likely to be the better fit. And it's where we are seeing more and more of our clients move over time. Either way, the good news is, whichever path you choose, the fundamentals of payroll don't change, and we're here to support you through it. With that comparison in mind, let's move on and look at how the payroll cycle within Deal Payroll, powered by Payspace, actually works in practice. To walk us through that, I'll now hand over to Zane.
Wow, thank you, Thomas. That was really well presented. Hi, everyone. I hope you are ready because we're about to take a quick look at what makes Payspace by Deal such a powerful payroll and HR solution. And I'm so excited to show you what the platform can do. So let's jump right into it. Before we start working through the payroll process, I'd like to give you a roadmap of where we are heading. This section introduces the 8 key stages of the Payspace payroll cycle, and I will begin by covering the key concepts and theory, and then we'll bring it into life by jumping into Payspace and seeing how these processes work in a real-world payroll environment. We will start by looking at how to generate a mock payslip, and then move on to onboarding and offboarding employees. From there, we will cover payroll processing, payroll reconciliation, salary payments, statutory reporting, and finally, how to complete and close a payroll run. So, now that I have set the stage with what is to expect, let's begin the first stage of the cycle, generating a mock payslip and understanding when and why they are used. So stage 1, generating the mock payslip. One of the common challenges for HR and payroll teams is knowing what an employee's payslip will look like before payroll is actually processed. Payspace's mock payslip feature gives you that visibility. Whether you are onboarding new employees, reviewing a salary package, or checking deductions, you can preview the expected payslip without affecting the actual payroll run. It is really simple to use. You just enter the employee's details and any other allowances or deductions if needed, and the system generates the calculation based on the information provided. Now, this gives your payroll team the opportunity to check and validate information upfront and make any necessary changes or corrections before payday. It is a small feature, but it gives your payroll team greater confidence and control. So rather than me just telling you about it, let's jump into Payspace and I'll show you how it works in the real-world payroll environment. So bottom to your first look at Payspace, where we land on the dashboard screen, where you can see active employees, other statistics including changes, and a bar graph of your employee movement. Now let's move on to creating the mock payslip, which is by on and offboarding. Right at the bottom, let's create a mock payslip. We will start by entering the employee's details. Today we're having Tony Stark. I'll change his year born, so he's 18 years or older, and he started the 1st of this month, August. Next, I'm going to put in his pay per month, which will be 35,000, and his hours and days per period are on by default. Next, I'm going to link him to a position and a department. There you go, the board administrator. And next, I'm going to confirm I've entered details in all the required fields. Lastly, I'm going to link him to his tax status. For today and tax purposes, I'm using standard employment. And now it's going to be the part where we actually add figures onto the payslip. So for today, I'll be adding a cell phone allowance and pension. I'm going to start by adding the cell phone of 1,000 Rand, which I will not include as part of package. And then next, I'll be adding a pension deduction. It's really easy to add this. All you do is you choose your fund, then select your contribution percentage, and lastly, update your effective date to the start date, which will be the first, and save. Now, this exact process will be repeated, but in the company contributions section. Pension fund, select the fund name, contribution percentage, and lastly, update the effective date and save. Just checking it's on, there's the basic pay and the self-insured showing allowance. Deductions, there's the pension, tax, and UIF showing, that's correct. And in the company contributions, there's the pension, skills, as well as the UIF. The next step is to let the system calculate all the figures for me. And that's it, guys. My payslip created very quickly. There's a Tony Stark with his basic pay of 35,000 and his cell phone allowance of 1,000 showing. Just want to see if his pension is calculating. Under deductions, there's his pension. It's been calculated, correct. And lastly, the pension and company contributions. And that's it. I am happy. Now, let's move on to the next stage. Stage 2, onboarding employees. Every organization has different onboarding needs, which is why Payspace gives you 3 flexible ways to onboard employees. You have the manual, bulk actions, and e-onboarding. For individual hires, manual onboarding gives you more control and allows you to review the employee information as you capture it. When you're onboarding multiple employees, bulk actions allows you to upload the information using an Excel template, saving you time and increasing the efficiency. It is also important to note that bulk actions is a general payroll management script, so it can be used for more than just onboarding. And now for a more streamlined experience, e-onboarding allows employees to complete their own information through a secure link. This reduces administration, limits data errors, and creates a better employee experience. Now, the real advantage here is flexibility. Payspace adapts to the way your organization works. Whether you're onboarding 1 employee or 100, you will now have the flexibility to choose the approach that best suits your business. Let's have a look inside Payspace and I can show you how this actually works. So Mr. Tony Stark has accepted the offer and is happy with his net pay. Now the next step is to officially onboard him into the system. I have already pre-populated his details for the purpose of this demonstration, but I will take you through the 8 workflow stages of manual onboarding process so you can see the process from start to finish. So you navigate to on and offboarding and then add a new employee. This is page 1 out of 8, the basic profile, which consists of the basic information, then his personal details. There we go, such as his gender or race, followed by contact details, including emergency contact details. Then we have his address. We do also have the option to say it's the same as the physical address and any exemptions if needed. Next is his tax profile. This consists of the group join date, which is the date the employee originally joined the organization and remains unchanged. The employment date reflects the employee's current employment position and may change if the employee is transferred. This makes sure that the relevant tax calculations are applied. So you enter his group join, and there's his employment date. So next I'm going to move on to the pay rate details. Where it just shows employees paid per month and receives a monthly package of 35,000. I'm going to enable the create payslip automatically and save. Followed by that, we have the dependents. Dependents are mainly captured for the purposes of medical aid. The number of dependents and type will be increased when on the employee's medical aid deduction, as the different contribution rates automatically apply for the employee, spouse, and children on the deduction screen. Next, I am going to link Mr. Tony Stark to his position, which is the physical training instructor and the board administrator. The next part is to link the employee to a leave scheme where you can have multiple leave schemes based on different entitlements as per your leave policy. Then the second last stage is the banking details. For this demonstration, I am using cash, but you do have the option to use EFT where you add the employee's banking details. And then the last step, the recurring component screen. This is where I added his cell phone allowance and pension that he will be receiving or deducting every month from his salary. And once I am happy that all the recurring components are added, all you do is click finish, and that's it. You have successfully onboarded an employee manually. Let's move on to the next stage. Stage 3, a simpler, smarter way to manage employee exits, which is offboarding. This is a great example of how Payspace takes something that can be normally quite administrative and make it simple and seamless. When an employee leaves, their basic pay is automatically prorated based on their termination date, so there's no need for any manual calculations. Then the UI19 is also immediately available and completed when an employee is terminated or suspended. So, for example, if an employee goes on maternity leave, you can place them on suspension and capture their return date. From there, it is essentially set and forget. Payspace automatically removes suspension once the return date is reached. But the automation doesn't stop there. You can also make leave encashment really easy. Simply select the encash leave option and any eligible outstanding annual leave is automatically included onto the employee's final payslip. So the question is, what does this mean for your business? Less administration, less room for human error, greater compliance, and more time for your HR and payroll teams. And that, everyone, is the real Payspace advantage. Let the system take care of the work so your people can focus on the work that really matters. Let's move on to the system so I can show you how this works in practice. So Tony Stark has inherited millions and has decided to resign. So let's go ahead and offboard him. So I got his profile, on and offboarding, and going to the terminate or reinstatement screen. I enable terminate. I'm going to choose the 19th of August, almost midway through the month, to show you how the proration works. I'm going to select the reason, confirm in the correct month. There is his leave balance as well as the value of it, which I want to pay out by enabling encash leave. So now we're going to move on to his payslip, where we would expect to see the prorated basic pay based on his final employment date and his leave paid out based on the remaining eligible leave balance. Let's see if this has worked. And there we go. The system is working as it should. His basic pay is less than 35 now because it only worked until the 19th. We're going to leave his cell phone allowance on. And there is his leave pay already on for his 1.83 leave days that he accrued. And that's it, guys. A simple offboarding process without the need for any manual calculations. And now we are halfway through our payroll cycle. We have reached stage 4, payroll processing. This is where the payroll really comes together as the process and validating the employee payments before moving to the final stages. Payroll processing needs to be efficient, but we also want to give payroll teams the flexibility and control they need. This process starts by confirming that we have the correct payroll run open, and then we review the recurring payroll components. Now, this is where some of the automation really adds value. For example, some key features on certain recurring components are that loans can continue and stop automatically once they are fully repaid, and medical aid increases are updated annually every year. This helps keep the payroll accurate without unnecessary manual work. For once-off changes like bonuses, overtime, or adjustments, we can simply make those changes directly on the employee's edit payslip screen. And if you're dealing with large numbers of employees, you don't have to do everything individually. The same changes can be processed using bulk actions, making the process much quicker and more scalable. So Payspace gives your payroll team the flexibility to work more efficiently while keeping control of where it matters most. Now for the exciting part. Let's jump into Payspace and see these capabilities in action. I'll be showing you how to manually and bulk process. First, I'm going to confirm that we're in the correct payroll run month before proceeding with anything, which we are, August. Next, I'm going to choose an employee to process the payslip manually. Navigate to the edit payslip, confirm in the correct month. The basic pay will already be included because we have enabled the relevant settings, which it is. For this demonstration, I'll be only adding overtime. And now enter hours. I need to calculate this manually. And there we have it. Her overtime has been added and calculated based on her overtime, her hourly rate times 1.5. Next, I'm going to check if just double checking, there we go, that's correct. If her tax has been calculated correctly. Now, Payspace has a brilliant feature called the tax breakdown, where it shows you in depth how the tax has been calculated for this run. You also have the option to download it to send to the employee or anyone if needed. Now, let's have a look at how we can make this process more efficient using bulk actions. On bulk action screen, you have two methods to bulk processing. You can do it on the screen or on a template. On the screen, you can delete or add any payslip actions. I'm going to add overtime by selecting my employee, then letting the system know what I want to add, which is an overtime component. And lastly, I'm going to choose my input type, which will be hours. Now, all I need to do is enter the amount of hours she has worked and save. And that's all. Just checking if the overtime has been processed, and there it's showing the 8 hours that I have added. Next, I'm going to be doing this, but on an Excel spreadsheet. I start by downloading the empty template. Next, I will select my employees by navigating to the spreadsheet where the employee numbers and name is, and select the employee numbers. Once I've done that, I'm going to paste it. Repeat the same process by telling the system what I want to add, which will be the overtime component. add that to all the employees. Next, I'm going to be choosing my hours input to avoid manual calculation and any human error. Make that pretty. And now I'm going to add my overtime hours, which will be 1 hour for all. And now that's it. I've completed my spreadsheet. All I need to do is save and upload. So Payspace shows you if you have uploaded any payslip action on a terminated employee's payslip by generating a warning. As you can see, it's completed, but with the warning, you can view the warning to see exactly on which employee the warning is displaying. But for today, we're going to leave it because he worked overtime. Next, I'm just going to confirm that the overtime I've uploaded is showing on the payslips, and there it is. The 1 hour overtime for all the employees. So instead of capturing overtime employee by employee, we can process multiple employees at once, saving time and reducing the risk of any manual capturing errors. And that's it, guys. Let's move on to the next stage. Now we have reached stage 5, the payroll reconciliation. Before we finalize payroll, we obviously want to make sure that all our figures are correct. Payspace makes this really easy with the payroll reconciliation report. This report gives us a clear month-to-date view of the payroll figures, so we can compare our totals and quickly spot anything unusual. The report is also really easy to read because the information is displayed horizontally and the total columns are clearly highlighted. And we can see the total for each payroll component at a glance. We can also customize what we see using parameters and filters. For example, the parameters can add extra fields like departments, while the filters allow us to narrow the report down to specific employees or records. So instead of going through everything manually, we can quickly focus on what matters, identify any differences, and make corrections where necessary. And now, rather than me telling you about it all, let me show you what the reports look like on Payspace. Now, I'm going to go and download the payroll reconciliation report by navigating to Reports. And under the payroll section, I'm going to click on Payroll Recon. And this is the great thing about this report is the flexibility it's given with the parameters and filters. These are the filters. I'm just going to show you a parameter by showing you which different fields you can add, such as the age, the birth dates, or even just the employee's emails. Next, I'm going to tell the system what I want, and I want it in Excel format, and I'm going to choose my correct run, which is August. I want to view the August payslips. I don't want the report to format anything, so I'll leave it as non-formatted and download. This is an example of what the month-to-date payroll reconciliation report looks like on Payspace. The total headings are clearly highlighted for easier viewing and reading. You can also view the total of each payroll component, such as your basic pay, overtime, or leave pay, which is displayed right at the bottom of the report. Now let's quickly verify our results. We'll see if the overtime and leave pay is showing. Let's see for Mr. Tony Stark if his leave pay shows. There's the leave pay. The only figure here is for Tony. That's correct. Next, we'll see if our overtime we added is displaying. And there we go. I'm happy. Quick and easy way to verify if our results are correct. So Payspace also provides a similar report that allows you to view all the historical payroll data across the previous month, rather than only focusing on the current month like this report. So whether you're looking for a quick month-to-date reconciliation or need to analyze historical payroll information, Payspace gives you the flexibility and visibility to do both. And that brings us to the end of the payroll reconciliation reports. Now we have reached stage 6, so we are well on our way to completing the payroll processes. This stage focuses on generating and uploading the salary payment files to the bank, ensuring employees' salaries are ready for payment. This process is really straightforward. All we're going to do is navigate back to reports, then to salary payment file. Then you're going to select your bank, confirm you're in the correct payroll run month, and enter the required bank details. And lastly, download. The great thing is that once your bank details have been entered, Payspace remembers them for the next time. So there is no need to capture them again. There is also additional options to give you more control. For example, you can exclude specific employees who have already been paid, or exclude terminate employees, as well as choose to only pay terminate employees. From reconciliation to payment, Payspace keeps the process simple, controlled, and efficient. It is just a few clicks, one salary payment file, and your payroll is ready for the bank. Let's take a look inside Payspace to see how easy it is to retrieve this file. Now, for possibly the easiest and quickest stage, let me show you how I'm going to retrieve this file. Back to reports, click on salary payment file, select the relevant pay date, verify that I'm in the correct run, which I'm not. I'll choose the correct run month. Now I'm going to choose my bank and then enter the required banking details and click retrieve. And that's it. Your salary payment file is ready to upload to the bank, making the payment process quick and straightforward. So it's really just a few steps and we can generate the payment file and move straight from payroll processing to making the actual payments. Now we've reached stage 7, our second last stage in the payroll cycle. This stage focuses on retrieving the statutory reports, ensuring that all the required legislative and compliance reports are available and ready for submission. Payspace doesn't just calculate your payroll. It also helps automate the compliance process that comes after payroll. The system provides statutory reporting for items such as your IRP 5, EMP 201 and 501, as well as your Employment Equity Act 214, with the pay-as-you-earn, UIF, and STL calculations built into the system. That is kept aligned with the legislative requirements. The real advantage is that these reports are generated directly from the payroll information you have already processed. So instead of compiling information manually, you can generate the required reports directly from Payspace, making compliance quicker, easier, and less prone to human error. And one of my favorite features is that you don't even need to remember to run these reports every month. You can only once your payroll is already processed. Reports can be scheduled automatically by being emailed to you every month, so the information lands in your inbox when you need it. There is also one less submission for you to worry about, and that is the UIF declaration, as it is automatically submitted to the Department of Labor on the 7th of every month, taking yet another manual compliance task off your plate. So Payspace isn't just about helping you process payroll, it's helping you stay compliant with less effort. Let me bring this to life by showing you how you would actually use it in Payspace. Now let's navigate back to reports, but this time under the legislative section, which is here right at the bottom. So in this next gen section, we have our available legislative reports, but Payspace also offers additional legislative reports in the classic version of this report section. So there we have our reports, the EMP 201 and the breakdown, UI 19 and UIF salary payment file. Today we're going to download the EMP 201 by selecting the correct run month, ensuring that that's the format we want, and submit. And there you go. All the relevant details have already been processed onto this report. So rather than manually complying the information, Payspace has already processed and consolidated the required payroll data, making statutory reporting process much more efficient. I'll just show you the total payable. There we go. And now we have finally reached the last stage of our payroll cycle, run management. This is really where everything comes together, giving us the tool to review, control, and confidently take the payroll through completion. The great thing about Payspace is that once your payroll dates are configured, the system takes care of the routine work for you. The payroll runs are automatically opened and closed according to the scheduled dates. So there's no need to manually manage this every month. And of course, payroll isn't always predictable. When a correction or additional payment is needed, the interim runs gives you the flexibility to handle these without reopening the main payroll run or affecting any of the previously processed payroll data. This means less manual administration, fewer risks, and more control. The Payspace advantage is to let the system take care of the routine so your people can focus on what matters. Now, let's take this from theory into practice and see how it works on Payspace. So we're going to start by navigating to payroll cycle right after the reports and click on Run Management. Now we are going to close the August payroll manually just so we can get an early start on the September run. All you do is click on Close to change the status and continue, and the September run will automatically be opened. But oh wait, I just realized that I forgot to pay 4 hours overtime for one of our employees, Matthew. But no problem, I'm just going to create an interim run. What I do is I simply type in the correction run. Below that is the settings you have available, such as enable viewing access during an open status for ESS, or disable that viewing status on ESS when the runs are closed. I'm not going to enable any today. I'm just going to click OK and continue. And now we have created an interim run to process our correction. And this run is linked to the previous run, August, as you can see. So the correction will still be displaying on your EMP 201. Next, I'm going to go to Matthew's user profile. Go to his Edit Payslip screen, and I'm going to select the correction run by adding a payslip section. Next, I'm going to add his overtime. Enter the hours I want to pay in the hours section, which will be 4 hours, and save. And as you can see, once this loads, there's his overtime, and the tax has been deducted from that paid overtime. And that's it, guys. The correction is processed and paid without reopening or impacting the original payroll run. That is simple, controlled, and easy. And with that, we have reached the end of our Payspace payroll journey. We've seen how Payspace can simplify the entire payroll process through automation, accuracy, and smarter technology. Thank you so much for listening and for taking the time to experience Payspace with me. And with that, I am going to hand over to Leon.
Thank you so much, Janae. Thank you, Thomas, also for your presentation. I think this was really informative and insightful to all the clients attending. If anybody has some questions or want to have a follow-up session, please email thomasb@prefsolec.co.za as on the screen, or give the Preferred Solutions Eastern Cape office a call on 041 365 4223. Thank you so much for your time and have a lovely day.